Good afternoon, everyone. This is Didier from Cork Wars, and thank you for ToutSuite to receive us and give us the opportunity of talking about wine, sommelier, chefs, cuisine here in Napa Valley. This month, Cork Wars is featuring the Fagiani here in Napa, the Thomas, and the sommelier of the month, Phil Abram. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, buddy. And the chef of the restaurant, Jason Kupper. And thank you for coming both. So the Cork Wars is more focused really on sommelier, but it's great to have you because we're going to talk a little bit more about this intimate relation that I believe a chef in the sommelier have. And but to you, Phil, I understand you're from the East Coast.
That's right.
You're from Buffalo,
New York.
And how you came up into the wine?
It wasn't something I was necessarily actively seeking out. In fact, I got into the restaurant business, like a lot of people in my position from those that I talked to, thinking that I was going to be an executive chef. That was the...
Oh, so you came up from the, you were looking at more working behind the scene.
Yeah, right, exactly. I always loved to cook when I was a kid, and when I got in the restaurant business again, that was my intention, was to figure out a way that I could sort of weasel myself into the kitchen and start learning from these guys that we work with. And it was, so the guy that I really learned from most directly, Chris McPherson, is one of our somms back in New York. He's the beverage director of Saxon Parole back in New York. He gave me a little taste of terroir between some Sauvignon Blanc, Sancerre, and from Napa Valley. And that started the conversation between the two of us about wine and about other really cool fun things that are out there. And I was hooked very quickly. And we kind of evolved from there. He was nice enough to bring me into the program there, and the group as a whole just sort of gave me the opportunity to come out here in Napa and be right on top of the scene.
So you did grow up within the company.
Yeah. So I was doing.
as far as for what you do, for you learn within the company.
Oh yeah.
They give you the tool, the education to grow within, and then give you the opportunity of be who you are now.
Exactly. That's exactly. I can't tell you how lucky I feel to have been given the opportunity that I've got to be sitting right here with you two and talking about wine and getting to do it on a daily basis as well. It's unbelievable.
How about you, Jason? How you came up in the same direction?
It's funny you ask. Originally, I was supposed to be an environmental engineer. Went to Purdue University in Indiana, but I've always been in the business since I was about 15 years old. So I kind of grew up in the industry. I was a busboy for about a year and just learned how to cook little by little.
So you started in the house?
Yeah.
And to end up in the
tables for a year, and I begged my boss. I was like, "Can I please be a cook?" And he said no. So eventually I convinced him, and he gave me my start. And then I went to school, studied environmental engineering, and then I dropped out my junior year to become a chef.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the first pairing that on this month here, and the dish was created by you.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about it and how you came up to pair. Who came first? Did you have wine that you showed Jason, or Jason built the dish itself and give it to you and say, okay, you found the one for that? How do you come up?
Dish first. So let's.
As far as the dish, it's the chilled English pea soup with Dungeness crab, preserved Meyer lemons, and a smoked almond yogurt. Part of the great thing about working in this company is that I get to work with Chef Brad Farmery, who is executive chef of the entire company.
Yeah.
We bounce ideas back and forth, all the time about what's going to be exciting for the guests in the dining room and what's going to be fresh, local, seasonal. So I think the inspiration for the dish came with just that. It's springtime. Spring peas are abundant. They're coming out all over California. It's a local ingredient. So, it's something that's light and refreshing to the guests. A chilled pea soup. It's getting hot, as you know. The last couple of days, it's been, the high 80s.
Yeah.
So, just concentrating on the ingredients. It's a bowl of nice pea soup, not too many bells and whistles. A nice smoked almond yogurt, preserved lemon, barbecue.
I know that. I mean, I remember when I thought, okay, it's something you're simple to do and things, and I'm looking at it like, do your lemon like a week ahead of time or something like that, or like, oh my God. Just like, but you can also buy directly, made so that was pretty cool.
I think the cool thing about working with Phil is he likes to eat. I like to drink wine. It goes really well.
That's a perfect couple.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it comes time to put the wine to the dish, first and foremost tasting it, and for me, some of the biggest elements of any good pairing before you even get to the flavors are how you're going to match textures,
yes,
and how you're going to match the structure of the wine with the structure of the dish.
Okay.
And so in tasting the soup, the first thing that you're struck with is just the creamy texture of it.
Yeah.
And so first and foremost, then, if you're going to complement that, you want to do something with the wine that's going to have that similar structure, so in that similar texture, so that you're feeling things pretty seamlessly throughout the experience. And then you start to talk about just the freshness, and both of the dishes and both of the wines that we've got for you today really highlight just the most exciting part about the year as the summer to come is springtime and flavors. So you have a little bit of sweetness from the English peas. So naturally, you're sort of driven towards German Alsatian varietals and those styles of wines, and so you get to the Ojai, Santa Barbara County, wine that's made by Adam Tomac, co-founder of Abram, started to move off in the 90s to create this label. And you get something that has that medium body, almost plus to an extent. You have a little bump of just sort of peachy fruit that gives you that sweetness to pull out the sweetness of the pea soup. Yeah. And then at the same time, too, it is a dry Riesling, and it's coming from a very cool climate. So while it's springtime and while it's summer coming up, you want light alcohol, low alcohol wines. They're going to be very refreshing, thirst quenching. This one comes in at 12.5% alcohol, which is very hard to find sometimes in California with the amount of beautiful sun we get. Yeah. So you get high acidity, medium plus acidity, probably more accurate. That is going to kind of pull out some of that Meyer lemon. And then the last thing is minerality. And Riesling, of course, by nature, is just going to have that slight petrol-y note. At 2010, it still has that. And that one for me is a dead ringer for the smoked almond yogurt, a little bit of that nuttiness.
Yeah, very beautiful acidity, really cut through it. And then nice also like a creamy texture almost. I mean, that's like a really,
Yep.
So it's kind of pairing like this is a continuity.
Yeah.
Between that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the concept of the restaurant and what kind of wine is one may find in a coming up. What kind of wine you have? Are those wines mainly Californian, domestic, or from all over the place?
It's as it stands right now, it's about 75% California, 25% something different. It's whether that be wines from elsewhere in the United States. Yeah. So exciting things going on up in Oregon, Washington State, New York State. Speaking of Riesling, New York State Finger Lakes Riesling is something that's going to be coming up soon. Or benchmark places around the world. So, of course, Burgundy, Pinot Noir Chardonnay, Chablis, Champagne. That's, a lot of Rhone varietals as well. They're going to go down in France, go to Italy and see Chianti, go to Spain and see things like Rioja. So there's so many exciting things happening in the world of wine that, I think that there's always needs to be that opportunity to be able to sit down and take a little travel and see where you're going to go within the bottle. And that's the sort of opportunity, that's the mindset that we take when we're putting together wines for this, is what's going to be really fun, what's going to really showcase where it's from, what's different about it too, and how it's going to match and pair with other things.
Yeah, because what is the size of your wines? How many wines you have in it?
Right now, I'd say we're probably at about 80, maybe a little bit more than that, and that's that's not big. It's fairly big, but at the same time, it's never going to be the huge voluminous book of wines.
The website.
At the same time, I think it's most important to be able to continue to do things up and keep things fresh and keep things seasonal.
That's exactly my point. I was going to that and see what the challenges you have for you building a list like that. Well, the chef may change, the menu like quality or like a. So how do you go about that? I mean, obviously you buy like by the case 6 bottles at a time, or and so you can like kind of turn the inventory around and be ready for the next season.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the most fun part about working with medium-sized lists, is that you have that flexibility that when spring is coming, you start to realize, okay, well, this was a really great wine for the winter. Now let's kind of work to sell off the rest of that, and let's bring in something that's going to be a little bit more fresh, a little bit lighter. We've got the outdoor seating upstairs on the floor, and so if I'm sitting up there, I'm not necessarily going to want in the sun time or in the afternoon in the sun not going to want to be digging into a big, heavy red. Save that for the evening. I'm going to want something like a rosé or a glass of white wine like the Riesling.
Are you like
refreshing?
So because Cork Wars is also like a really featuring the wine by the glass program. I think this is a very important, and I think people don't really necessarily pay attention too much about the importance of the wine by the glass program in a restaurant. There is a science, in my opinion, beyond that. And my question is, how many wines by the glass do you have right now?
Right now we've got 3 glasses of bubbles, 1 of rosé, and 6 whites and reds.
6 whites and reds.
So when you come in, you always find the reds between 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm. Jason, have you ever built a dish, from a wine that she may have brought you, try that, buddy, and what do you think? So, oh man, and then the imagination, and you're like, oh, let's do something like that. Actually,
yeah, it's happening more lately.
Is that right? Cool.
Yeah, it took a lot to open Fagiani's time. As you know, the history of the building was closed for a while. And, now we're at a point where we're kind of settled and ready for this upcoming spring season, the summer. And a lot of people don't know this, but in the beginning, when we opened the restaurant, I was very busy in the kitchen. I couldn't always get away from the kitchen. I had to build the menu. So we have a couple of garden spots over by Copia. So we grow our own vegetables.
Yes.
And we don't have a full-time gardener like a lot of restaurants do, so I had no one to help me to go tend the garden. And Phil stepped up and he actually took care of all the vegetables and took care of the garden. And, when I couldn't get to the garden, he would be bringing in everything we needed. So it's always kind of cool because we actually sit and talk about what we're going to plant next.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where we're at right now. So
and I bet you that was for you also an excellent exercise to develop your sense of smell and getting French terrain. Ooh, yes, I did that and that.
Yeah, but to be honest, I moved from the city to Napa and I wanted to be outside. So there it was.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. Like we're thinking ahead. Like even though it's spring now, we're thinking about the summer. We planted and we're excited about what's going to be coming up. So we're kind of visioning what we're going to be growing, tasting now, the dishes that will come.
So plus Jason gets out on the road with me. Yeah. So when we're out doing some tastings and things like that,
cool.
Start to see some wines that are going to come down there, and it's my second palate.
Yeah.
If something's going to work, for the restaurant, it needs to go to
Agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit, both of you, if there was one quality in your trade, you as a sommelier, you as a chef, what would be this quality for people that are watching us that may be interested of getting into that business, wine business, sommelier, restaurant business, hospitality, and behind the scene in the kitchen, from your experience, if there was one quality that is the most important, for you guys, what would that be?
I think for me, it would be integrity for the ingredient. Really honing in on what it is, respecting where it comes from, whether it's the whole animal or, a vegetable, just, really getting in touch with where it comes from. Really not trying to do too much to it, but to showcase it for what it is. And to try to pair it with a wine that accentuates it. It becomes a partnership with the food.
I would say, and somewhat following up on that, but I'd say it's just passion. It's not necessarily for the sommelier or chef de cuisine or any place in the restaurant. It's one of my favorite parts about working in a restaurant is that you're surrounded by people who really love what they do. I mean, we work long hours. There's no doubt about it. And the really great places are the ones that are driven by the idea that just love what we're doing. And anybody can put wines on a list or can make dishes and can cook dishes. But it takes the people who really love what they're doing to come up with and dig a little deeper, do the research, to do it right, and create the magic, let it happen.
Yeah. So people coming up in a restaurant, look at the wine list, do you feel your clientele, your patron, your customers, visiting you have understand the wine list? And what I'm saying by that is there is nowadays really a multitude of sommeliers coming up, and this is really trendy. It's really cool. I really enjoy that. But however, one thing is kind of difficult for me is because the wine world is moving so quickly, so much. You get all those small boutique wines that you never heard of, and they're coming up here, and you don't know what it is. And there is one somm, and the person may not be able to attend. you in a timely fashion, you know, or maybe the waiter may not know the answers and all that. So tell me a little bit more, you know, do you see like, you know, something, some kind of, don't you think that people have to be a bit more cautious and some of these that, you know, and have a list that people can read, at least half of it?
Sure. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, the undeniable truth with this is that the more you start to learn, the more you realize how little you actually know about the wine world. And just as you said, it's constantly changing. There's just so much to wrap your head around. And one of the things we do like to focus in on are those very small stories that are going on within California or like I said, around the world, whatever it may be. And so that's not only my job, but it's we've got a great staff who does their studying and does their homework, and you know, we always get to taste the wines together. You're looking for the experience that you're going to get just from the taste, and then you start to flesh out the story around it. And it's a very important piece, and that's why we're there. It's you know, one of my least favorite things is about sort of the wine world is when you get sort of this pretense of being intimidated or that it's not going to be fun, because at the end of the day, it's just grape juice. It should be a lot of fun, and it should be something that's playful. So it should be something that pairs with the food, and it shouldn't be this, you know, totally tied up, really tight service where you're just doing nothing but intimidating or talking above somebody, because that's not what we're about, and it's one of the unfortunate things that has happened in the past. But it feels very much to me like a drifting towards, you know what, this is wine. Let's drink it. Let's have fun with it.
So what is the price point of wine that it sells the most for you?
I would say probably right in around $60 a bottle is our average. And I think that's something that gives us a lot of freedom, because there's so many great wines that are at or below that price point. And there's so many great wines that are above it. It's what you're in the mood for, what's going to work best, and that's what we shoot for.
That's it. And people are bringing like the wine. So what do you have, like a corkage policy there? Yeah.
So we have our corkage fee, but anytime you bring in a bottle of wine that's 10 years or older, we waive the corkage fee, and if you buy a bottle off the list, we waive the corkage fee there too. So it's you know, especially for the 10 years or older thing, if you've got a bottle of wine that you've been hanging on to and it's a real treat for you, we want you to bring it in. We would love to have you bring it in and celebrate with us, and we'll get some great food around it, open it up, and please, yes.
Do you, like, you know, sometimes like say like, you know, so those people are coming up bringing like 3 or 4 bottles and you're like, what the fuck is that? You know, but you know, just like, you know, it's just because they don't want to pay the restaurant price, and so they're getting like some wine, like from, you know, it's just I mean, fine. I mean, that's the one, and you know, you please them. Like sometimes, like, you know, what are the things that, you know, both of you actually? What are the things that you think are the most irritating, you know, during the course of the service? You know.
Yeah, you know, that's we live in that valley. It's something that everybody's got their cellars. There's wine all around us everywhere, and you know, you can get frustrated about it. You can curse about it, but at the end of the day, these people are coming.
Give me an example. Well, like, you know, without naming names, but a situation where you know, just, you know, go ahead.
No, I'll tell you one. One that was a little bit more of the irritating thing is when I went to greet the table, and they had a bottle of wine. Actually, in fact, they had a bag, brown paper bag, and I went over and I asked him, like, for me to open this, and they said absolutely. They pulled it out. It was a bottle of white wine, and they still had a little bit of condensation on it, and the receipt was still wrapped around it from Safeway, $9.99 for the bottle. So, you know, that's one of those folks, and you know what, they
and the cocktail is more than a bottle.
It's true.
Yeah, the cocktail is
with the mindset that they wanted to save some dough, and you know, good on them for doing that. But it happens. But you know, for every time that happens,
but you know,
so of 82 more dough.
Well, okay, fine. It's $10 a bottle, you know, 7 plus the taxes, plus, you know, $20 of cocktail fee. It's $20. It's $30 altogether. You know, just buy the bottle from the restaurant. You know,
and I'll tell you what. Yeah, exactly.
And we've something goes with the food.
We've got several bottles of wine that we put there deliberately that are anywhere between one that's $3 more corkage fee. There's some that are $5, $10. So effectively, you know, to do that, you'd be getting a bottle of wine for $3 to $10. That it's just a total
Do,
steal. So
do you think
that's
that?
not for everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to have 2
But,
bottles of wine. That's cool.
do you think sometimes people look at the sommelier as the dandy, the person that's going to rob you, that's like a, you know, and so what, you know, how can you change that kind of mentality? I mean, like, you know, and I talked before on camera and off camera to a lot of songs, and you know, that point they're here to help, and but there is this almost, you know, last century. I mean, this is the last century kind of a perception where, you know, people were here and rob you, you know, blindfolded, and but the thing has changed. Yeah.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, I've worked, you know, I've been in the industry for a while. I've worked with a lot of wine directors and somms that are like, you know, kind of, they love the sound of the voice. You know, they can talk and talk and talk, and you know, I think the personality. You know, it's all about personality. And
so you feel like people are a bit too snob
sometimes, yeah,
sometimes.
A little bit. And I think that's the bad rap. You know, and Phil, you know, I'm being totally wholehearted here. He's got a great personality. Like, he goes to the table, he's not pretentious. He's not stuck up. He's just going, and if he can make the experience better, that's his intention. If he can't, then he tried, you know, and it's not always going to work, but I think he brings a great persona to the dining room floor.
Yeah. You know, and I have to agree with you. I think I've seen, and a lot of my friends have seen a big change of I don't know if this is attitude or personality, you know, the last past, you know, few years, where this a new of MS, you know, that are emerging and just get a diploma or working very hard to get a diplomas, you know, the attitude is very different. But, you know, back then, also nowadays, you know, a sommelier, a master sommelier had the ashtray, the testimonial around the neck. That was a little bit more impressive, and you know, that was like a black and white type, you know, blah 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 blah. You know, things are changing now. A mess, you know, can greet you and t-shirts and jeans and full clothes, you know, and the kind of just by the attitude and the way they dress, you know, get back to your level.
I had to put my shoes on for the formal wear tonight. Otherwise, I would have been here in flip-flops. No, there's nothing less impressive about that, in my opinion. You know, I know a master som back in New York who has at a very nice restaurant gone around and sold wine in a Metallica t-shirt. Yeah. And you know what? At the end of the day, yes, because at the end of the day, it's not about the suit. It's not about the bow tie. It's not about anything. It's about the conversation, and it's about the wine, and it's about the winemaker, and it's about the chef. Yeah. You know, you have to look at it from the perspective of my role on the floor and our role as servers or whatever it may be, is to just make sure that when you sit down at our restaurant, you have the time of your life, or you have a great meal and experience, and you have a great opportunity to do that with wine, because it's the one thing that we really sort of stand in between with the vineyard managers, the winemakers. They put forth the product, he's put forth the product, and we stand in the middle and try to say that you know, this one works with this one, or, you know, and that's the combination, that's the formula anyway. And if you talk to these guys, you don't need to see the outfit or what they're wearing to realize it's just know their stuff. Yeah. And they really
for sure. So let's go to the second dish, and that was the main was the halibut, and you pick a Sauvignon Blanc. So let's go and talk about the fish, the dish itself, and the science of it, and the why you picked up the Cliff Lady Sauvignon Blanc and amongst any other ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the Cliff Lady is a great pairing for the halibut. I think you know, it has some great notes of grassiness that complement the spirits, and also the artichoke. You know, it's kind of interesting. I've worked with a lot of somms in the past where I mentioned artichoke and they cringe. You know?
Yeah. Well, that was the old school of sommeliers.
Yeah, you know, this has piquillo peppers and squid ink on top of it, you know, so, you know, I think Phil's got a very aggressive stance on when I dish. You know, he's not going to back down.
Yeah, bring it on. That's all you got for me.
It's a good challenge. we bounce it back and forth, and I think it's a great compliment to the house. How
many ones you have to taste it through, and how you knew that, you know, from tasting the dish, that's the direction you wanted to have. You wanted to have like something, you know, kind of a melony and with like higher seeds and was it not so already you like, you know, it won't be red, it won't be Chardonnay, it won't be, it's got to be something like a more like, you know, Sauvignon Blanc, or how you came up to that? Or you have to taste like 20 wines?
Well, I mean, you can rule out the reds, you know, first and foremost when you see the dish and you're dealing with halibut. But what narrows things down right away, and to go back to it, really is the season. It's springtime, and springtime and Sauvignon Blanc just go very nicely together. And really, you know, Christine kind of tells us that Sauvignon Blanc is going to have those grassy notes, and sure enough, Cliff Lady does. But at the same time, too, when you've got a dish that has all these complexes to it, the artichokes, the asparagus, the piquillo pepper, the squid ink, as Jason mentioned, you need to have a wine that's going to have a few small tricks up its sleeve, and that's what's really great about the Cliff Lady. So the Cliff Lady is about 2/3 stainless steel aging. You've got neutral oak in there, and you also have concrete egg. You have not only Sauvignon Blanc, but you've also got a little Semillon in there as well. So all of those things give you a wine that has minerality accented by the concrete egg. Squid ink vinaigrette, squid ink in that just kind of nice, deep flavor that it has. You have the neutral aging, so neutral barrel aging. So that's going to give you some more body and some more texture. Same with the Semillon. So it does have the body to be able to stand opposed to you know, nice sear on the fish, rich white flaky fish, and then of course you have the stainless steel, so it's nice and fresh.
The minerality goes really good with the grilled aspect of the artichoke. We throw it on the wood grill. Get the smokiness from the wood. Also the green garlic that we serve with the kios. So it's really nice.
So and all that's sitting on top of a nice, still bright Sauvignon Blanc that says springtime. It's refreshing, and it still does have those grassy notes. So you hit the asparagus and the artichokes, and
kaboom!
Kaboom!
That's right. So one more question: do you guys collect wines? Do you have wines home, or yes? I'm
starting small.
Okay.
I'm starting small with some favorites. I took a trip to France last year and brought back some selections. But we'll wait on finding a house or scratching up the dough to create a big cellar before the collection really grows.
Well, no, I bet you, Jason.
I don't know if you can collection 10 bottles, but I think of the...
Well, you're going to sell somewhere,
of the 10, I think I have 97s. I used to live out here from like 99 to 01. So I bought a whole bunch of them when I lived here. But I lived in Vegas for 9 years, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, things will work out.
I know. So, all right. So, gentlemen, this is it. Thank you very much for coming. We could keep this for hours. That was easy, right? You know, pretty easy, and there's some good wine. And hopefully, you know, leaving with a little show right after that. But I want to thank you very, very much. Website www.fagiani.com.
I think it's the Thomas-Napa.com.
The Thomas-Napa.com. All right, and you're serving lunch and dinner?
We are, just started lunch last week.
And by the way, you have an incredible cocktail culture too.
Oh yeah.
So definitely, like people visiting Napa Valley should stop that and make point of stopping that. There's no other great cocktail between Napa and then the next one will be St. Helena. So between that, it's not really. But really enjoy having you here. Good luck. You know, we'll see. Maybe I will get by the $500 certificate from the restaurant. To give to my members. Again, Phil, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much, and cheers. Until next time. See you in May.
Cheers.
Ciao.